This episode is sponsored by the Sultry Listeners Awards, a celebration of romance audiobooks. Voting in the semifinals is in full swing, so make sure to cast your votes. Learn more at www.sultrylisteners.com.
Welcome to the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, discussing all things audiobooks with the authors that write the stories and the narrators that perform them. Brought to you by Viviana, Enchantress of Books.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 12 of the Audiobook Lovin Podcast. Today I'm chatting with narrator Gregory Salinas. Greg, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited. I actually figured out and found out exactly how I quote unquote learned about you in prepping for this chat of mine, because you've been on my radar for many years. I've listened to your books and stuff like that, but I hadn't had a chance to get you on the podcast yet. But I was like, how did I come across him? And thank you to Facebook and keeping really good track about stuff that we do. Hint, hint, if you don't want to ever get caught doing something not good, don't do this. It was about 6 years ago. There was a post by one of the photographers that she's been on the podcast years ago too. I'm probably going to kill her name.
Taria Reid.
Yes, thank you, Taria.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, and
amazing photographer.
Yes, and such a talent, and she has such a good eye. And so she and I have been social media friends for years now. And there's a picture of you and her. And in that descriptive of the post, it says, great narrator, and all raving about you. And so I'm on the comments saying, goes to run off and find out more about Greg. And I'm like, wow, it's been years since I saw that post too. So
6 years. Wow. I met her at Wild Wicked Weekend,
Yes.
which is here in San Antonio. That's where I am, San Antonio, Texas. And I had seen her covers plenty on Facebook. I think I discovered her through Jane Ryland. I saw her at Wild Wicked Weekend, and it was the first time I'd ever seen somebody that I had known through social media but never met. And it was kind of a starstruck moment. I was like, oh my gosh, I really like your work. And it was really cool to meet her. And I fangirled, basically, or fanboyed.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. If it makes you feel any better, I did the exact same thing to her. Even though we had been, again, on social media friends for years, it was the RT Book Lovers Convention in Vegas. And she was actually doing a photo shoot for an upcoming book that she was going to do the cover for. And I wanted to just get some insight on how that side of this world works. And so she let me in. And I was, I actually helped with the photo shoot. I was like, okay, guys. And they're like taking their clothes off. I'm like, okay, we're good. She's awesome. I adore her. It's been a little while since we've talked to her, but she's great. And that's how I discovered this awesome narrator. And so now I get to chat with you and have other people fall in love with you, as we all did many moons ago. So why don't we start by telling us a little bit more about yourself, aside from going to these events and going fanboy over photographers and, chatting with us as well. So a little bit about yourself, how long you've been narrating, how you got started.
All right. Well, let me look at my website and find out what I've said there.
Oh, yeah, it has to even out, right? Otherwise it's going to be like, wait, I thought it was this.
So there's always some fun stories, but let me just go over what This is why I get paid to read other people's work. I cannot make my own words. So I've been acting for a long time, since I was a kid, and I actually went to a performing arts school for instrumental music, and I was interested in starting to minor in musical theater, and I started acting and getting in plays and such, and that continued through college. However, once I got to college, I was like, okay, there's no real way for me to become an actor. So I decided to go to an English major, specifically literature.
Oh.
And so I learned how to close read, and how to really, really invest myself in stories and such. And then I realized I was like, I'm not happy trying to become a teacher. My wife is a teacher. My parents are teachers. They are amazing. And I thought, hey, I'm going to be a teacher too. And I was like, I don't think I have it in me. And so I got a little depressed for a while. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And my mom wanted to do a class that was going to be about learning how to do voiceovers. And this class seemed a little fast-paced, is the best way I can say it. And so I was like, hey, let me record a demo for you. And she said, only if I record one myself. And I did. And the next day, I got callbacks.
Way to go,
Eight,
mom.
yeah. 8 months after that, I quit my full-time job and went for it full-time. And uh, luckily, my wife was so loving and so supportive. She helped me through my first couple of years. And then after that, I was doing pretty well. And when she wanted to switch jobs, I was able to support her like she supported me with my
Aw.
narration business. And so it just felt so good. Sorry, I'm always getting lovey-dovey about my wife.
That's a good thing, honey. That's a good thing.
Yes. Um, but so yeah, one of the cool things I think about that I have a bit of a leg up on some of the things on my narrating is
Hmm.
that I have this experience in close reading and this literature background from college. So while I do have an acting background, I have this deep love of reading, I
Hmm.
guess you could say.
Well, I mean, good thing too, because even though you're doing it out loud, right, and performing it like you would a script, but you still have to read the damn thing. So,
Oh, yes. That's one of the things that people always say is like, "Oh, do you read the book before you narrate?" It's like, "Yes, yes, I do." The only time I've ever had a cold read is when they give it to me and they say, "Hey, we need you to record tomorrow." I'm like, which has happened, not that often, but it
hmm.
does happen. And I'm like, "Okay, do you have notes for me? Can you tell me everything about the book?" And they're like, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay." But no, I read the book before.
That's good. I mean, heaven forbid, and this is a example I tend to use a lot because it's so true though. Chapter 30 and his Russian accent. And you're going,
Oh,
fuck.
yes. I've actually had that. I remember I actually talked to an author about that one time. We were doing a trilogy series, and the first two books we had this character, and I was giving him this complete normal, average American accent. And the last book it says, "Oh yeah, he's Colombian, and he has a thick accent." And I was like, "Well, that there was no way for me to know that. The book
Yeah.
wasn't done." And she goes, "Oh, I didn't think about that either." And so it's like, we're fine, we're fine."
Well, that's good that she was cool with it. But also, I mean, if she hadn't been done with it, then, I think it's still a little late if it's already been published. But, hey, he's no longer Colombian. He's, you know, regular Joe,
He
no
is
accent.
Colombian. He grew up in America, which is kind
Exactly.
of
Yes, that's the thing too. Yeah, that's the thing too. A lot of individuals, for some reason, when the character or even individuals are described as, Latin or Hispanic, they automatically think about, oh, the accent. And I'm like, some of us don't have accents. I mean, I have something you can't figure out what it is. It's called I'm from Miami and I'm from Florida. So there's a little bit of that going on there, but you can't always assume that the accent's going to be there. So that's always one when I've talked to authors and they're like, I want to write a Latin man or a Latin woman character. And I'm like, okay, great. Where's the background from? Oh, and I'm like, and then they both out with having an accent. I'm like, but she was born and raised here. No.
hmm hmm
I mean, unless it's
I
a
know.
Spanish accent, like an Argentinian, like I get it when I get upset and I'm talking in Spanish. But other than that, no.
I had a book. One of my favorite books I did was a rom-com called His Semi-Charmed Life.
Hmm.
Um, and the character has a big Hispanic background. And for a while, I was like, "Oh, do they want this accent?" And they said, "Read it how you would read it." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna read it this way." I am half Mexican, and my dad does have a bit of an accent, and his whole family has very strong accents. But I was like, okay, if I would read it how I would read it, I read it in my voice, and they were so happy with it. I was like, this feels really, really good. I feel represented in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I think it's a good representation of either, first generation Americans that are from Latin backgrounds and parentage, or individuals that were, came when they were into the States when they were really young. It's just sometimes not all of us have an accent. And I also feel like that there's a lack of representation on that. And I also know that they try to from a representation perspective, but there's just more to being Latin versus just the accent, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I didn't even know you were Latin until you shared that with me at Allure earlier in the year in September. My God, it's been over a month now since we went to
I
Allure, Greg.
know. I know.
I was so excited. Allure was such a fun event, I think, and the fact that I got to finally meet you in person. We've, on social media here and there, but so many other fun stuff too came of that. So I was excited. And then I'm like getting ready for this call. I'm going, oh crap, it's been like a month already. Shit. Time flies.
Oh, it really does.
Yeah.
I had so much fun at Allure. One of the things I always say is that narration can be kind of a lonely business. I'm in a 3 by 5 room for about 6 hours a day at minimum. Um, and most of my interactions are with people through emails. And it's so different being at Allure and meeting other narrators, meeting authors, and just just not feeling so alone. And
Right.
yeah, and we're all like, oh, we're all so pale because we stay in a booth all day.
Oh my goodness. I think the other concern was, am I going to know how to people? Because, pandemics, a lot of us haven't gone out. This was my first event in 3 years where I've been
Hmm.
in such a big group, but others because you guys are always in the booth. There's not a whole lot of interactions with your peers. And so I think you guys all did fabulously well as far
Oh
as
yeah.
peopling goes.
I'm
So
glad. I'm glad. I was like, please be normal. Please be normal. Be normal around people. Um, it's interesting you say that because with the pandemic started, a lot of us already worked from home, so
yeah,
our lives didn't change too much.
no.
The only difference was that my wife started working from home as well, and my productivity went up
Hmm.
because she is so whenever she has this work oriented mindset, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, I feel the same way. I'm gonna do this. And I'm like, how am I recording like two to 2.5 finished hours like easily right now? Uh
Well, that's good. For a second there, I thought you were going to go on the opposite of saying, man, it was so distracting having her there. And I'm like, oh, good.
no, she's back in the office. And I'm like, oh, I miss
Oh,
her because we used to have lunch together
I
and such and
know.
everything, and I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I know. There are a lot of companies are starting you guys got to come back to the office. I'm like, listen, I've been doing my job just fine from here.
I
It's
miss our
okay.
lunches for sure,
Yeah.
but it's all right. I
Yeah.
also miss some of my alone time. So,
Yeah. I think if they were going to force me to go back into the office, aside from potentially quitting, I think the thing I would miss the most is being able to hang out with the puppies and the dogs and stuff like that.
oh
When I'm
yeah.
having one of those moments where like freaking egos and executives, this and that, I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to Atticus and, you know, throw the ball around a little bit. Because they dogs make everything better. So
They do. Well,
Mhm.
I'm a cat guy. I
They do
love
too.
I love dogs, but I have cats. Two fur babies,
Oh,
and
lovely.
they are great, but they bully me a little. And by that I mean when I'm working,
Hmm.
they know I need quiet. I have a Studio Bricks voiceover booth, and so it's really, really good, very sound resistant. I can't hear their cries anymore. I used to be able to hear their cries. They figured it out, and now they throw their bodies against the door, and that's coming through my sound. I'm like, oh my
the
gosh.
the thump.
And so
Yeah.
I have to stop and feed them, even though their dinner time is at 5:30. They really, really want to be fed at 4.
Divas.
Yeah.
No, I also have kittens too. I always see the thing is when you say cats, they also have such a firm like way of saying it. Even if they're like 16 years old, I'm like kittens. So I always do the same thing with puppies. Mine are full grown. I mean, I've had Snickers now for, gosh, it's gonna be like I think she's about 16, and they're all our cats have always been very sweet, lovey-dovey. But for a second there, I thought you were gonna say that they start serenading you. with their meows as you're just about to be done with a chapter or not. But no, they've gotten level 2 DEFCON.
Oh yeah. They are, yeah. I just couldn't believe that they started to throw their bodies again. I was like, I just can't believe this. I had to record it on my phone one day, leave it outside, and like, there's no way this is real. I'm like, yep, it is.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine that little powwow meeting of, okay, guys, all right, we're gonna hear. He's inside. He obviously is not hearing us because Big Studios is so good. What can we do? And that's when one of them came up with the idea. Oh goodness, that could also be a fun voiceover video for you. Of them.
I'm not a big social media person. I really, really want to get into it more. I know you asked about my Instagram and my Facebook and my TikTok. And my Instagram and Facebook, I upload occasionally. My TikTok, I had a couple of Lego videos, but I took most of them down. I guess I should start putting them back up. I don't know if you know this. I do little stop motion Lego videos about the voiceover industry.
I love that though, dude. Dude, that is so awesome. You should continue. I was looking at that. I'm going, what is that Lego? I grew up doing Lego, so I love them. But the fact that you're doing stop, I don't know, the animation with it is fantastic and focused on. Okay, we need to see these more. So if you have them, I'll re-upload them and then just keep making more.
I need to make more. Well, I actually have like 3 or 4 that I haven't uploaded. I'll do that. All right. After this comes out, I will post.
Okay, yeah, because once people hear it, they're gonna run to your TikTok and your Instagram. And they're gonna be like, "We want these
before
videos."
This comes out, I'll put out a few.
And it gives you time to record more, so you have them in advance as you come up with a schedule.
Well, I wasn't sure. I felt like it was like, oh, is this childish? Is this a little weird? And I was like, who cares? I like them.
Well, I think part of it too is having that form of I don't care, but it's something that you enjoy and that you're sharing. There's someone else out there that has similar, likes and stuff like that. I know I had a little like, oh my God, this is so awesome when I found some of my old Legos from the kid because my mom kept a lot of our stuff. And I'm like, shit, they're like classic Legos where we didn't have any of those pre-made models and we had to make the houses ourselves from scratch. So there's a lot of people now that are doing all this Lego stuff from, Star Wars, the fighters, jets, and all that fun stuff. So trust me, you want to hear it. We want to see it. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll have to ping you saying, hey, friendly reminder, episode's landing. Where's my videos?
All right, I can do that.
So with these videos, and I'm sure as well as in the narration, a lot of stuff that happens is these characters do have accents, whether it's a British accent, Scottish accents, fill in the blanks, of course. Do you have a favorite accent to perform, though?
I would say my natural British accent. So my mom is from England, specifically London, and I really, really imitate her and everything that she had me grow up with. She had so many British sitcoms to make me watch and such. In fact, I had a lot of them that when friends came over, I was like, oh, I assumed everybody watched British sitcoms. And I was surprised to find out that no, they have no idea what I'm talking about. And also that was not funny to them.
No, it is a different sense of humor.
But I have to always get into it. But I often get a little gruffer, and I just start to sound a little chavvy, actually, I bet. Wearing my Burberry and just walking the streets. Oh, no. I can't do it. I need a script in front of me.
Yes, trust me. I mean, even I'm in the same boat as you. I need to have my script. There's fun. It's one thing to kind of start the conversations and then like we're pretending like we're just hanging out at Barnes and Nobles or Starbucks or even a bar. I don't care which one we want to go at to have these kind of conversations. But the questions, I literally have a script in front of me, so I totally get it. But I've heard a lot of that when it comes down to the accent specifically. Sometimes they can completely off cuff anything else, jokes or whatever, but when it comes down to the accents, a lot of you guys have to have something in front, like prepared And I'm wondering if that just takes that moment of in your brain going, and now British.
It does. I will say as soon as I have the script in front of me, oh, this is a good one to say. Um, I hope it doesn't get cut. I'm joking. Is that I can tell when it's a British author or when it's an American author writing a British character.
Hmm. Do
And
tell.
it's the cadence. It's the structure of the sentences. I can always tell. I mean, obviously there's spellings that give it away right away, but there's actual sentence structures, and I don't know how to explain it, but I'll be reading a book from a publisher, and I know I'm supposed to be in an English accent, and I'll be like, something tells me this is an American author, and I'll
Hmm.
look them up, and I'm like, sure enough, yes, they are. They're in California, and I'm like, yep, and they've been born and raised in America, and I'm like, okay. And then another time, oh, actually, it goes reverse too. I remember reading a book called First by Casey Wells, and
Hmm.
it's based in Georgia, in America. And I was like, I think this is a British author. And sure enough, it was. Um, I could just kind of tell. Those are the only two I can tell. I can't, but yeah, I can tell that apart.
The cadence. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. It's similar when it comes down to like the English to Spanish or Spanish to English. Aside from all the
Yes.
weird accent marks and esdrújulas and there's all that fun stuff that, Spanish likes to throw at us. But there's a cadence to it and or how the sentence is structured, verb first versus adjective or vice versa. It's all this fun stuff. So you're going, oh, okay. So I can understand that. So if British is your favorite to perform, what's your least favorite?
Ooh.
Or hardest, whatever you want to go with.
Um, you know what's interesting?
Hmm.
I would say it's almost proper English is a little harder for me. I have to really, really think about it. Like Regency romances and such,
Hmm.
which I love doing, but they're a little harder for me. I have to actually really, really think about it because I like to swallow the consonants when I'm in English in my English accent or my regular one. And then I have to think about it. I'm like, okay, no, we're talking right now and we're pronouncing every syllable and we're not swallowing any consonant.
Okay.
Uh,
It is. I mean, I have learned about the different accents as far as the British accent, depending on where individuals are from, because of the audiobooks. Up until then, I wasn't really, I just said British, done. Right. And then with you guys, it's as audiobooks, I'm like, oh, there's the Cogni and this and that, and of course the Beatles and all that fun stuff, but it's still different.
oh, the Liverpool one, yeah.
Uh-huh.
That one's
Yeah.
that's hard too. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's funny because like I say I have three natural accents. I have my general American accent, my British accent, and then my Mexican accent. And they're all very much like based on where I grew up. One is on my mom and one is on my dad. And those are all very, very easy for me. And then I have to really, really think whenever I get into other ones. Like Irish I can do pretty well
Hmm.
because I grew up around it, but I didn't grow up hearing it every day like with my mom. And so it's a accent that I really really enjoy doing. Oh, I want to change my answer. My
Hmm.
favorite one is to do is Irish now. We're
Okay.
gonna do
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's right. There's that one too. Yep. No, it's okay. That's good. Irish. It
whatever
is.
accent I'm thinking about. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely something that we as especially Americans, I think, have this affinity towards accents. And when we think about either a sexy accent or one that kind of stands out, British and Irish and Scottish, I think tends to be the biggest, with like French, Russians kind of coming in second, third place, depending on how you look at it. And
hmm
it's definitely something that as we continue to get more globalized between, PBS, and traditional dramas that they have there or BBC. And I'm like, yes, MI5 and other things like that. Because again, Pride and Prejudice is something that we all read in school or did some work on, and then we have all the the PBS series and then movies and things like that. But then we get other shows. Like you grew up watching a lot of this cool stuff, from over there. But here we were like having to wait until Sundays on PBS or something like that to get something British.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh my God. My mom would always, that it was always she would tell everybody, shh, 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 we're going to be watching right now. And it would come on. And I think her favorite was Keeping Up Appearances. And it's a very British show. And I remember watching this on PBS. And then we found them in like, I think Barnes and Noble's, the VHSs.
Oh.
And yes.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, oh, she bought them up and they were expensive because they were imported and such and everything. But it was great.
Yeah.
I got to get off of British sitcoms. We keep coming back to that.
No, it's okay. No, we're fine. I mean, a lot of individuals love this stuff too, so we're fine. It's funny too because you have mentioned the VHSs, and hey, I'm not saying. I mean, I grew up watching them and using them, but I got into as soon as the Pride and Prejudice 2005 came out, and Matthew McFadden was Darcy. I went all like, what else has he done? And a lot of the things that he did were on DVDs, but not here in the States. So as, smart resourceful girl that I am, have a Amazon British account, UK account, and then bought the DVDs and had them shipped to the house. And then I'm going, oh, it's coded. So I learned how to uncode a DVD player.
Wow. That's determination. That's fandom right there.
Matthew McFadden, hello. Yeah, and it's just fun stuff. And then when I saw that I was able to stream MI5, which is the equivalent of like CSI FBI over there in the UK, I was like, yes, streaming helps so much now versus having to buy these DVDs and decode DVD players. Those are not fun. The same thing we do with audiobooks. I mean, sometimes I've had a couple of listeners that are in California and they don't want to wait until it drops on their time zone for some of these releases, so they'll get a UK account and get them there, or just to get extra codes they'll use some codes that are specific for one author or narrator for those, and I'm going, wow, that's dedication, because that's one thing to do a DVD here and there, but audiobooks are coming out left and right with you guys. So
oh yeah.
Yeah,
I know. I'm not sure how many I've had come out this month. I'm doing 10 books this month. Never ever will do that again.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was getting ready for our chats. I was like getting your link ready from Audible, and I was going to post the most recent. Usually it has been like something like, so we're in October, so maybe something was released in September. Sometimes it's like the beginning of October. You've had like a bunch of them come out as of yet, and then you have another one coming out, the 12 Hunks of Herculea. Am I saying that?
Yes,
right?
Herculea.
Yes, thank you. I'm like, she has 12 hunks? Holy crap. Okay.
So it's kind of a retelling of the 12 labors of Hercules, but each labor is a hunky guy. And they're kind of shifters. So like the Kraken is actually a hunky Swedish guy, but he can turn into a Kraken and such. And if you're into monster romance, this one's definitely for you. Even if you're not into monster romance, I think this one might be for you. It's a cool retelling.
Well, I mean, I'm a sucker for Greek mythology, and when they do stuff like this and they try to monarchize it or they give it a different spin, I'm always intrigued, like how they're going to do that. And so that's how I usually land in there. But I saw it, first of all, great cover. And second of all, I'm going 12 hunks. Okay. And that's co-narrated with Kylie Stewart, who's awesome too. So
she is.
Yeah. So that's coming out right before this episode lands. But I was going to ask you, like, okay, so you had to do 12 hunks, huh? 12 different characters, which I'm sure it's the norm nowadays, or more or less, right?
More or less. Well, usually less than 12, I will say that. But I do try to give every character a unique voice, or if it's after a while, 12 is really, really hard. So I definitely try to make them have at least different affectations in their voices. Basically, if you're listening to it, you will know who's talking.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's something I pride myself on. I really, really started to do a lot of reverse harems a few years ago, and I feel like I started to master it, especially around the time I got a book series by Casey Keene called Toxic Creek, and that one had three different mains
Hmm.
in there, guys, and I made sure each of them had different voices, each of them had different ticks with their voices. Um, and I remember I was like, I don't know if anybody's gonna care. And I saw one review that said the guy narrator gave every character a different voice, and it was like so cool. I was like, oh, I'm so glad to hear that. But I am no Jim Dale. I am not a I cannot do a huge amount of voices. I can just think it was Andy Arndt, another fabulous narrator,
Yes.
who said some people have an orchestra in their throat. Others have a jazz quartet. And that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I've been focusing on my jazz quartet really, really well, occasionally adding a fifth oboe in there or something like that to just add some flavor. But I really, really appreciate taking advanced classes and such like that and learning how to perfect my craft.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times people get into this gig, not so much by accident, but as a side gig, as a side hustle. Others have tried it because, of course, the traditional, I have been told I have a great voice, and that's
Oh.
fantastic. However, you started is great. The fact that you're doing it is bravo pros right there, right? Not many people have the gumption to try, you know? And but then what else does it take? And even if you've had acting background, even if you've done this for many years and you've done theater and now you're going to be doing it the same concepts into a mic, there's still always something you can learn. And I think that that's fantastic that the narrators are still educating themselves and learning how to do things differently, especially nowadays with, whether it's accent work or dialects and just bringing something else to it.
Oh, without a doubt. The first time I ever took a class, an advanced class for narrating, I had been doing this for 7 years.
Hmm.
And so I was like, wow. At first I was like, oh, I don't know if I need to take a class. I've been doing this for 7 years. I'm doing pretty well. And I was like, no, that's thinking like I've reached my peak. And I don't
Hmm.
think I have. And I was like, so let's do a class. Let's just try it out. If we don't like it, oh well. And I did. And my first experience was humbling, I'll say that.
Really? Wow. That's good though. That's good though. I think it says a lot about you too as far as being humbling. Wow. Because you could have easily have been like, I could have taught this class.
Oh, I always I know that's something that people always say like I've done what does my Audible page have right now? It has over 350 books right now.
Hmm.
I've been doing this for in May, coming in May 2023, I have been doing this for 10 years. Um, and I still feel like there's so much more to learn. I know I'm good, but I'm not great, at least. And that's where I want to be. I want to be great. And I don't know if I'll ever achieve that, but I'm going to keep on trying.
And that's fantastic because I think sometimes people stop improving or taking courses or workshops for whatever, thinking that this is as good as they're going to get. And I always told people, you never know. You could be doing something a lot harder versus smarter, which is
Hmm.
that's gonna be on my tombstone if I were to get, buried. Work smarter, not harder. Simplifying overcomplicated processes is another one. And the things that we learn, tips and tricks, just because someone else does it differently and sharing that knowledge and that information is fantastic. And it's good. It's always good. Even if it's something that, could be a refresher. It's okay.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yes.
You mentioned historical regencies being a favorite of yours to narrate and loving to do them. Do you happen to have a favorite genre to narrate in?
Oh, favorite genre to narrate in. So I'm really, really well known for doing dark romance.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite stuff is most likely retellings, though. I really, really love a good retelling. What is it that I believe in literature, they say there's only 36 stories to tell. And so we've been telling the same stories over and over again, but we all eat it up and we know that something's different. Something is done differently each time we read it. I think of Romeo and Juliet is one of the ones that people retell a lot in movies and such. West Side Story, that cool one with John Leguizamo.
That was a good one.
Yeah, there's plenty of things to redo. And trying to think, we just talked about 12 Hunks of Herculea. It's kind of a retelling. I'm trying to think of other ones that I've done. I still have not done a retelling of Alice in Wonderland,
Mm.
and I am dying to do a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. Yes, I've done plenty of Hades and Persephone, and they throw me each time. Somebody will do something that's just a little different or a little twisted, and it's really, really cool. I can even talk about one that I recently did of by Sophie Lark, the
Mm-hmm.
Kingmaker series, called The Heir. And the best way I can say it is it's a retelling of Harry Potter,
Huh.
except instead of magic, you've got mafia. And it's really cool.
You will never look at Harry Potter the same again.
No, and I played the Draco character, and Draco gets a redemption arc in book 3. And I was like, yes, oh my gosh, it's it's so cool. So I would say retellings are my favorite. That's where I
Okay.
always go back to. I
Yeah.
know, I feel like I copped out on that one or
No,
something like.
no. I mean, the thing I love about retellings, technically not a genre, but it can be any genre. It could be sci-fi, it could be contemporary, it can be rom-com, it can be mafia and dark romance and all that fun stuff. There's so many, you know, different ways to retell a
There is,
story.
because after a while, if I do dark romance so much, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a little depressed. They can be the best stories ever. And oh my God, there have been some heavy hitters that have
Hmm.
affected me. And I'd be like, wow, wow, I don't know how to let go of the characters, but I do. I have to the next day because I'm recording something else. But I'll need like that rom-com in there, or I'll need like just a nice contemporary just to balance stuff out.
Hmm.
That's what I more need. And so when I say retellings, it's so nice because I get all of that in one.
Hmm. Do you tend to schedule your dark romance recording schedule around the time that you have to go do a spin class?
Oh, yes. To the listeners, I teach spin classes.
And the reason why I bring up the dark romance thing is there tends to be a lot of alpha males in dark romances, and apparently that was part of the conversation we were having at the lore. That kind of, do this, do that, let's go faster comes out, a la your instructions for spin class.
I think sometimes I am not a method actor.
Hmm.
So when I let go of the book, the characters don't stay with me in my personal life.
Hmm.
However, I have noticed when I teach a spin class, it is a little affecting on what I'm reading at the time. If I'm doing a rom-com or a contemporary, my music is a little less intense, and I'm a little bit more focused on the writers, and I want to make sure that we've got everything going for us. Where my dark romance is, we're going to challenge ourselves today, and I'm going to make sure that you like it. Um, I'll take care of you, but you got to trust me that we're going to get there together. And the dark romances, I do a lot of them, and I guess maybe the dark romances help me teach spin.
Yeah. Now, do you happen to know if any of your students in your spin classes know that you do audiobook narration?
Yes. So I've had to leave a couple times for different things. I had to leave for about a week for Book Bonanza to go there. And my class was like, where are you going? And I had to explain to them, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to a thing. I'm going to be signing autographs. I'm going to be at panels. And they're like, what do you do? It's like, I'm an audiobook narrator, voice actor. And one of them said, oh yeah, I got tickets to that. And I saw her there. I saw her there. So that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Um, but they know what I do, especially now that I have to leave for conferences every now and then.
Yeah. I was wondering if they pick up on the, oh, okay, he's been doing more rom-com, so that the playlist is a little. I'm like, oh crap, he's doing a dark romance. We're gonna hurt tomorrow.
No, but now I kind of want to say that before
See?
classes.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, I'm gonna make you hurt, baby, but we're gonna be good.
All right.
Or
Step in it, baby
or
girl.
yeah, see? Or if you hear a good line in one of the books, that can also work for your spin instructions.
I'll have to clean them up a little, but yeah, I'm
That's
pretty
true.
sure.
That could just be another type of themes for classes, right?
Oh my gosh. The themes. Oh yeah, the themes are good. I think my most popular ones are remixes and mashups, and then of course I do love whenever you put the word booty in there. Booty bounce. For Halloween, I had a boo tea class.
Oh, it's so cute. Like, oh my God, so corny at the same time. I love it.
It
Yeah,
works.
it
It
works.
works.
Yeah. And it's such a different direction as far as your narration, but you're still having to talk. It's interesting to me how you went into that. You're having to, it's different type of talking. Now you're motivating the students to, you know, sweat their asses off, literally, because that's what they're there for. But sometimes you're like, I don't wanna, and then you have to get on them. I'm like, okay, I would probably be in trouble because I would be laughing if I was taking your class, not from a disrespectful part, but I'm going, what book are you reading today, sir?
I haven't had too many questions about that.
Okay.
I've had people ask me before, the one who met me at Book Bonanza, that she did ask, hey, wait, do you know this narrator? I was like, no. And then when I came back, now I do. Um,
It's funny how everybody has that assumption that you guys all know each other, though, right? Have you?
it's
Yeah.
it is interesting because the narration world, the best way I can describe it is it's big and it's small.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know of so many people, and I got to meet so many different people either at RT or
Mm-hmm.
at Book Bonanza or at Allure and whatever else is coming up. I don't know. My wife makes the schedule. She kind of tells me what we're gonna go to.
Well, now I know who to
But
talk to.
yeah. She's great. And so I get to meet these people, and when I say meet them, I meet them for like a couple of hours and then that's it. And people ask, do I know them? It's like, I've met them.
Hmm.
Um, do I know them personally? No. Do I think they're a really talented person or a cool person to hang around? Yeah, probably. I haven't met too many people that are bad in this industry. I will say that. That's been very, very nice when it comes to the narrators and the authors and such. And even a couple of the models, which I haven't gotten to meet too many, but every now and then I'm like, I voiced you.
Yeah, now that we're getting back to quote unquote normal when it comes down to
Mhm.
traveling and events, I think that there's going to continue to be more events popping up. And they've realized that when it comes down to book events, that there's this huge community of listeners, and we don't really have anything catered to us. And a lot of stuff is for the eyeball reader, which is great. I mean, I'm an eyeball reader too, but the girl doesn't have time nowadays to read with her eyeballs. And so I'm a huge, that's how, the whole thing for me, audiobook started was because I was busy, but I still wanted my books. And so now a lot of the events are starting to include the narrators in there, which I think is fantastic. But I also don't, I want it to be more inclusive where it's not like you guys are of a highlight, but more of a normality, you know?
Oh, yes. I know exactly what you mean. I'm starting to see the events start to steer toward that too. So I'm very, very happy to see that. Um, I'm trying to think of well, all right, I just have to throw this out there. There was a fun little event called Wanderlust that was in San Antonio, and I lived there, and I was like, hey, I'm just gonna show up there. I was not there to sign anything. I just wanted to see some authors that I knew I either worked with or is am going to work with. And so I got to meet Tina Saxon, and I was like trying to sneak up and get a book signed, and she goes, "You're Greg, aren't you?" I'm like, "Dang it, you recognized me." Um, and then I went to Nicole Farina, and she also recognized me, and I was like, "Okay, so people know who I am." So I get in line to see Sophie Lark because I did her book series, that one I just talked about, The Air. And I get up to meet her and I say, "Hi, I'm Gregory Salinas." And she looks at me blankly like, "Okay," smiling, trying to be polite. And I was like, "I narrated Dean." And she goes, "Oh, okay." And she was really, really happy to meet me after that. I was like, "You're trying to be so polite. I just assumed you knew who I was." But
Yeah.
it was great. It was weird to get recognized. But it was cool to see Wanderlust, to see an event that didn't have narrators there, but hearing people talk about audiobooks. And so I
Hmm.
was like, oh, so there is still demand for it. People want it. Just right now, this is focused on the authors. And I was like, that's so cool. I The place was just sold out. People were just the amount of fans that the romance community has is insane, and I love it. And they're voracious and for it. And
Yeah.
what was it? Book Bonanza sold out
Oh yeah,
already.
they all have been selling out, which is I love that they get sold out so quickly because again, like you're saying, the community's there, they want it, they do it. But at the same time, when it sells out in seconds, you're going, can we give a girl a chance to get her
I get
tickets?
that. I understand that. I do understand. I do
And
understand.
yeah, and I think sometimes the audience can be very, as you were saying, voracious of them just buying it up now in fear of potentially not being able to get a ticket later. So they may
Hmm.
not end up not even going to it. That happened a lot in some of the other events that happened earlier this year, where people bought tickets thinking that they might go. They're concerned, they're thinking about it. They have it, for sure confirmed that they're going to go. So they buy the tickets, and then then that's like, nah, not for me. But they were so concerned with not being able to get a ticket later if they decided to go to it. But it's a hit or miss. I think part of it too is that we're so desperate for human contact past, due to the pandemic, that we're like, oh my God, I get to finally meet my book best friends that we met online, or again, meeting with the authors and things like that. Because it wasn't like that before. I mean, with RT Book Lovers Convention, it never sold out within 6 seconds of the tickets opening. Never. And that's a
It's
huge
yeah,
audience,
it's
or
become like
was.
Comic-Con or something, and
Yes.
I love hate it.
Yes, me too. Yeah, it's what it is. I love hate it too. Yeah, I do. I love
I
it.
love that there's the demand for it. That's what
Hmm.
I should say.
Yes, no, it's good. It means, job security for many of the authors and other individuals that go there as well from, God, the vendors are great too. Some of these, they're so unique, and some of the items too that I've seen when they've had vendors at these events. And now again having the narrators there. But I really do hope that it becomes, instead of you guys being the shiny new object to get people's attention, that it's become so much of a norm of like, okay, which narrators are you having there this time,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, so we'll get there. That's why I love the lore. It was like all about us, the audiobook lovers, and so many people that did go that had never listened to an audiobook because their favorite author was going, so there was still that option there too. So I hope to be more inclusive as far as the audiobook stuff goes for future reference. Because otherwise, we have to
Absolutely.
wait for more Allure type of events, and they haven't announced anything yet to see if they're doing it again or not. But we'll see. Mm. If not, we'll be
Indeed.
like, Greg, where are you going to be at this weekend?
I'll be
Yeah.
like, I'll be at my spin class
Okay. Well, girl needs an exercise.
with all the other narrators.
If you ever had to do a panel at an event, that might be an interesting way to do it. Bring a couple of bikes, or stationary ones, and have them narrate while they're spinning.
Oh my gosh.
Just for shits and
Well,
giggles.
yeah, I would love to see that because I can do
Mm.
it, but I don't know if others could.
And this is where breath control comes in handy, folks. Yeah. But seriously, I would just propose it just for the laugh. Just to see what
That's
they
an
say.
interesting one. I will actually talk to whoever the next one is.
Yeah, you can say, hey, I had an idea.
I have a feeling I know some narrators who would be up for the challenge too.
Yes, that is true. Yes, I do know sometimes some of you guys are competitive. And to be like, I can do it. Or just, and then they'll take it to the next level. And I'm thinking of the cost specifically, where he'll go in a complete getup, uh, full blown on outfits, and like, God, but the fun of getting to hang out with you guys and get to know you guys better
I'm
is
glad.
knowing you guys will pull some of this stuff. So, fun
Oh
times.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I when like I said, the most recent one, or not the most recent one, the first time I ever met like a lot of narrators, um, I was really, really surprised. It was all jokes and just hanging out, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I have to tell this story of Zachary Weber with Desiree Ketchum and Aaron Shedlock.
Mm-hmm.
Me, um, we were at a small little restaurant in a hotel, and Zachary Weber didn't order anything. He never ordered anything. Here comes this guy's a waiter saying chicken fingers, asking for a round, and nobody's
No.
taking them. And Zachary goes, here, I'll take them. Goes, all right. So they give him that free. Um, I can't remember what else, but he gets more stuff free, and he orders one drink, and Aaron Shedlock buys it up, and Zachary Weber's like, "Why are you buying my drink?" Goes, "Because we got to keep it up. You got to have everything on your meal for free tonight. This is just
Can't ruin the momentum here, dude, right?
yeah." And I was like, "This is so interesting. This is so much fun. I love getting to know you guys and just shooting the shit. Or
Yeah.
can I swear on this thing?
I
Sorry,
think I've
shoot.
sworn like a bunch of fucking times
All
already,
right.
dude.
Okay.
Yeah. It's nice seeing you guys just be normal folks. I think that a lot of times the listeners have a vision of how you guys are based off the characters and how you narrate. And of course have those moments where some of the things that you're saying to to us via our earphones is going, damn, that's hot. And then here you guys are, normal, regular Joes, and such nice individuals coming to these events with your wife, which, by the way, your wife was one of the highlights at Allure for me. She was so
Oh,
awesome. I just loved her so much. She was so cute. I loved her.
I know she steals my thunder all the time. No.
Well, hey, we might get into you as far as the stuff that you narrate, but then we meet her and we're like, Greg, who?
I know she's amazing. She helps me with my schedule and such.
Mhm.
She helps me plan everything out, and she helps me figure out which trips we should go to. Kind of selfishly in a good way, because we kind of go and then we write off our trip because
Business
it's
expense.
it's a business expense, and then we stay like a day or two, and then
Hmm.
we pay for that ourselves. And it's fun.
Yeah.
Uh, what was I gonna say? But oh well, don't worry, it'll come back to me.
Yeah. Well, I was the one that kind of went completely sideways of saying how you guys were so nice to hang out with and see that you guys are such, down to earth individuals, regardless of being mythical creatures in one book like a kraken or being the alpha
Yes,
mafia man that's gonna
that's what I
kill
was gonna say.
everybody. And I'm like, but dude, you're such a nice guy.
That's what I was gonna say. I met an author, and I think she was a little disappointed when
Oh,
she met me, because she's known me from my alpha roles and everything and such, and I'm always like this. I'm always talking gruff, and I take no nonsense, and I'm very decisive. And then she met me, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Greg," and she's like, "Oh, she's like, you're not what I expected." It's like, "Oh, what did you expect?"
I
And then we
see.
became like really good friends.
It makes me wonder if they expect you to go in there wearing some form of messed up suits with, the tie opened and then have the cigar and the bourbon on hand and then start narrating for that mafia role, right?
I well, I don't wear suits while I narrate, but I do wear
Mhm.
suits outside. I mean,
Yes.
when we were at the signings, I was suited up.
Yep.
Mm.
That's true.
No tie. I really, really wanted a glass of whiskey in my hand while signing as well. So yeah, I do kind of give in to that image.
See, it's possible. So aside from spinning and going to these conventions to hang out with the fans and the authors and your peers, when you're not working, what do you do for fun?
Mm. I play a lot of video games. That's one of my favorite things to do. I also have been starting to do a lot of jigsaw puzzles with my wife, and we're trying to finish up a couple of 1,000-piece ones and then figure out how to glue it all down and then display it and hang it on the walls and such, or anything like that. Um, I don't do too much. I really do work. I do spin, and I play video games.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What video game have you been playing lately?
Right now, me and my wife have been replaying an old one, Silent Hill 2, which I think is one of the best video games of all time. It's a very scary, very sad one.
Mm.
Um, Basic premise, a guy's wife died 3 years ago, and he gets a letter saying she's alive in this town.
Hmm.
I think it would make a good dark
I
romance.
was gonna say, I was like, for a second there, it's almost like a movie being described, or if not a book,
It's
years
it's a very
ago.
story driven. Yeah, it's very story driven. But yeah, me and my wife play video games together
Mhm.
and such, and we like to more learn about the stories behind each one.
Mhm.
She's a huge movie buff, and I am more of a TV show guy.
Mm.
I'm the guy who likes to watch the old shows many, many times uh, before
Over.
starting a new show.
Ah,
And my
nice.
favorite show is probably Frasier.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. It's a good one.
a
It's
little.
good.
It's a good one. It's an old
Yeah,
one. It's a good one.
yeah. Yeah. Well, funny when you said that you were playing like an older classic kind of a game, I was thinking like something like a Mario Brothers or Resident Evil back in the day, and then you bust out with the silence.
Yeah, this was
So
2001.
yeah. See, mm-mm. Games are not the same. I mean, I did the Mario Brothers and the classic ones, even though it's very 2D. It's nice and relaxing. And then, of course, kicking ass on Street Fighters or Mortal Kombat was always fun. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
No, that is something I also do. I play a lot of fighting games. I
Hmm.
love the strategy and the tactics of that. I'm a huge Street Fighter fan. I remember you used to my dad would just give me 1 quarter and I
Hmm.
would make it work for that long time. I would stay at those machines just beating other people and such. And I try now, and I'm like, man, I lost my edge. But for a while, I was good. For a
Yeah.
while, yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you, yeah, I've tried playing some of these other games that are more, strategic, but it depends on who I'm playing with because I'll get frustrated because they're going guns a blazing versus we need to sit here for a second and come up with a strategy. You go left, you go right. And they're looking at me like you're real. I'm like, listen, I play to win, okay? And
Uh,
I'm like, this is why I still have 7 lives left. It's because I'm not just guns a blazing it out there, dude.
no, my wife, whenever she plays games like that, she's trying to hide somewhere and just staying alive. And uh, if anybody comes near her, she just holds down the trigger. It's like, no, 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 it's okay. Don't give away our position. Yeah, all right, all right. We're gonna. Yeah, we can't play Fortnite together anymore.
Oh, this is fun. Play for a little bit. Don't get angry because they have yet again to give up your position, right? And then
Yeah.
go into something else. Let's go do the jigsaw puzzle instead. You work with words a lot, and obviously because of your studying beforehand, you love words. What is your favorite word? Step not the same as favorite curse word because that's the second part of this question. Or favorite word.
Favorite word, anthropomorphic.
Ooh, what does that mean?
Basically, it means to humanize something.
Mm,
And I mean, not humanize it in like oh wow, I understand it. No, I'm talking like a cartoon cat that has human characteristics. It's
mm.
anthropomorphized.
Okay.
It's like it's the cat is a biped now, and it's also smoking a cigar and drinking, and it's talking.
Huh. Okay. Like, yeah, got it. Cool. It's amazing how some of these words are so big and, silent vowels and consonants, and then the simple definition of what it is. Like, oh, okay, humanizing a cat. Got it. And you'll say it so eloquently too, and so there. I'm like, answer from March 5th.
Anthropomorphic.
See, there you go. I'm going to let you keep that word. So what is your favorite curse word?
Um, Curse word. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably ass.
Mm-hmm.
Ass is a great one. It can be endearing, it can be working, it can be erotic, it can be insulting.
Mm-hmm.
It's so well-rounded, that ass. I just
In many ways, in more ways than one. Or my favorite, that's what she said. Goodness. So we've gotten to a point now in our chat where we're going to play a game called Two Truths and a Lie, where you tell me
All
three
right.
things about you and I have to figure out which one is a lie. You guys are
All
creative,
right.
so let's see how we do if you're ready.
All right. So here are my two truths and a lie. Not in no order. I was forced to have a 14th birthday at Chuck E. Cheese. I was at one time the top 2% player in the world on Fortnite. My grandmother used to babysit Elton John.
Oh my goodness, you really did your homework on these.
I just came up with it right now. No.
How can we mess with Viv? This is something that I've always found fascinating. Sometimes the things with the most details, such as having to be forced for your 14th birthday to do Chuck E. Cheese, might very easily be a truth, but it's possibly the lie, or vice versa, you know? Or the Elton
hmm
John Fortnite. See, knowing how you like to play games. You did good. You did really good. But is the lie the being forced to do your 14th birthday at Chuck E. Cheese?
No.
What's the story behind that? How
So I had to have a 14th birthday at Chuck E. Cheese, but it wasn't my 14th birthday.
Hmm.
Here's the story. My parents were friends with a couple, and the manager and the father of that group, I guess, was a manager, a regional manager of Chuck E. Cheese's, and they were opening a new Chuck E. Cheese up. And
Mm.
we went there, and we thought we were just going to have a fun time. And they said, "Hey, the employees really, really need to run a birthday to just try it out." And my sister refused, and I said, "Oh, why not? It's not a big deal. I get free cake as well. That sounds cool." Um, so they said yes. My 14th birthday was there. And then I saw my crush from hockey come into the door. And she was with her little sister. And she said, "Hey, oh, it's cool to see you. I'm here because my little sister." And she said, "Why are you here?" And I say, "Oh, my parents are friends with the manager." And right then, over the
No.
intercom, it said, the party for Gregory 14th birthday. Please come to the party room." And she just kind of looked at me and nodded, and I never saw her again.
Oh. Oh my goodness. See, no good deed goes unpunished.
No, nope. And I told the truth too.
I know. Oh, well, you know, makes for a good story though. So that's a good one.
Yep.
Yep. So we have the Fortnite or Elton John babysitting. Is the Elton John babysitting the lie?
No, that's the
Ah,
truth. I mean, that is the truth. Yeah.
so the Fortnite is the lie. Wow.
Yeah,
Your
I've
grandmother
never been that good.
babysat?
So my grandmother did babysit Elton John when he was really little. They lived on the same street. In fact, when that movie came out, Rocket Man, I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of wondering if they would show him being put with my grandmother uh for being babysat while they went away. And it's like, no, they didn't. It's like, dang it.
Dang.
But yeah, it was like when he was like 2 to 3, so
Mm-hmm.
like really, really little, so not significant, and he wasn't playing the piano yet.
Yeah. Prior to him being the Elton John, right?
Exactly.
Well, wow. Okay. So that was well, see, that was an interesting little tidbits about you that we get to learn too through this lovely game. I love that. I would have really thought that the Fortnite was the truth, considering your little, games.
No, I'm not that good. Yeah, not that good. Not yet.
Not yet.
If I was
Okay.
that good, I would be a millionaire playing Fortnite instead of narrating.
Yeah. It's amazing how there actually is an opportunity to make a good chunk of money and have it be a quote unquote career of sorts playing
Oh
video
yeah.
games. And it's things they don't tell you when we were kids, right? Can you imagine if a career day we had a gamer come in instead, or hell, an audiobook narrator or a writer of romance of sorts? And it's like, wow, things we wish we knew that. Oh,
I know.
yeah,
Although maybe don't bring in authors into the kids' room. Yeah.
that is true. So you're an author. What do you write?
That's got
Things
to be
here and
the
there.
I've always wondered about that, but people always ask me like, "Oh, you're a narrator. What do you narrate?"
Mhm.
Or they'll be like, "Oh, is it anything I'm aware of?" It's like, "Maybe. Depends. Are you into this?" And like, because I've done some big names and
Mhm.
and occasionally somebody will be like, "Yes, I do know that." I'm like, "Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Let's talk." But a lot of times when, especially guys, they're like, "Oh, have you done anything like by James Patterson?" It's like, "No." Um, but I've done stuff by Harley LaRue and such, and other people know exactly who I'm talking about, or Maggie Cole, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Whoa!" I'm like, "Yes, I know. Aren't they awesome? Let's talk about them."
That's probably where I would tell those guys, look them up. You'll thank me later. Take some notes while you're at it. You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting though how it's still that, oh, so what do you do? And it's similar with voiceover, I think, as even with the authors, that's like a conversation that we've had before where they're like, oh, you planning on getting a real job? I think with narrators, aside from the unless you tell them off the bat that it's for books, they automatically think, what video game have I heard you in, or what animation and stuff like that. They don't really think romance.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done like a little bit of commercial work, but
Mm-hmm.
that's a little harder to get into. And I'm really happy with narration. I love reading books.
Mm-hmm.
That's and I love getting to perform the books is the best way I can say it. I mean, I do read the books, but I really try to give you a performance.
Mm-hmm.
I want there to be a difference between reading on the page and reading while you're listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there should be a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of narrators that depending on not so much mood, but like how what I want is if I know that they're more readers, and so they might do one or two slight variations on the voices, but I'm not going to get a full blown out performance. So I'm like, okay, well, if I want something more oomph into it, then I'm going to go listen to this instead of that, and that's okay. And
Oh
there's
yeah.
some great narrators that were more of the readers, or they'll do, the voices, but not full on blow on. So I'm like, okay, that's great. You know. So before we go, can you tell us what you're currently working on and what's coming up next for you that you can share?
Let's see. I don't know if I can say what I'm currently working on.
Okay.
But I can say I just finished up the second book in the Souls trilogy by Harley LaRue. Harley LaRue. So Her Soul to Take, the first book is already out. But Her Soul for Revenge is coming out soon. And if you like sexy demons, definitely check it out. It's dark romance, but with this flavor that I haven't experienced before. Harley is an amazing writer. Desiree Ketchum and I are the narrators of those. And Desiree got so excited about the books. We just kept chatting with each other on Instagram. We're like, have you gotten to this part yet? It's like, oh my gosh, yes, I can't wait to record this. I'm like, I know. And we'll actually be doing a small live recording of it
Nice.
um, on October 30th over on Desiree Ketchum's fan Facebook page. So check that out.
Yeah, I'll include the info on the landing page for this episode.
Yay.
Yeah. So okay, so we have that. What else can you share?
Let me check because I've done 10 I'm doing 10 books this month.
Wow.
Um I've done 7 already. Mind you, most of them are dual narration, so they're a little easier. That means I'm doing about half the book, and the co-narrator is doing the other half. And then I've done also a duet book where, which is getting more popular, where I do all the male dialogue and the female narrator does all the female dialogue, regardless of the chapter.
Yeah, that was a start a war by Ella Thorpe, I think.
Elle Thorpe, yeah.
Yeah, Elle Thorpe, yeah, and that's with Michelle Price. Awesome person too.
It's a great book. So we just finished up the second book, and then I just finished up the third book last week.
Nice.
So the whole trilogy should be out very soon. Really satisfying. It starts off with a mystery that is so unique. And I never ever knew where it was going to go. And it has a satisfying ending. It's a mystery gets solved. That's all I want to say about that.
Good.
I'm trying to think of the other stuff I've worked on that I can say. I'm on a lot of NDAs right now,
No,
unfortunately.
It's okay. You know what I like to say when this happens? You don't have to tell me the names or anything like that, but I always say, like, okay, I'm going to be a warlock, I'm going to be a mafia man, and I'm going to be a sexy elf.
Okay. I can say right now I just finished up something where I am dark romance mafia, but mafia over the wine industry.
Ooh.
Very interesting take. Very different. And the wine industry is cutthroat and bloody. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. See? Don't have to worry about those NDAs.
No, I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear it. The cats already threw their bodies against the door.
I did not. Okay, now I think I heard one. Yeah. Oh, kitties, give me a moment or two with a man. Well, looking forward to those and we'll be including the list because I'm sure something else will pop up between now and when this goes live on the 28th. So I'll make sure that we have the latest and greatest on the landing page. But in the interim, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today. It's a pleasure.
It was really, really great to be here. I had a great time.
Good, I'm glad. So now that he's going to get better at social media, I'll make sure to include all his links so you guys can follow him as well. And if he doesn't, just poke him a little bit about that, Lego video.
Feel free to. I need that push.
Yeah. You can find his links over at the episode post at Viviana, Enchantress of Books. And until next time, happy listening.
Thank you to all of our Audiobook Lovin Podcast Patreon. Special thanks to Nixley Zenner, Carol Liebner, Brittany Robinette Leiter, Michelle Bastard,
Brandy Schmidt, April Branson.
The Audiobook Lovin Podcast has special Patreon access levels. Join today to receive benefits including early access to episodes, shout-outs, special exclusive content, and much more. Support the podcast by becoming a Patreon at www.patreon.com/audiobooklovin. We thank you for your support.
Thank you for joining us on the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, hosted by Viviana, Enchantress of Books. For links and more information discussed in today's episode, previous podcasts, or the Audiobook Lovin Series, please visit our website, vivianaenchantressofbooks.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a positive review wherever you listen to our podcast. Until next time, happy listening.